So we're here with Russ Ruffino. Russ, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
And Russ, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your product creation history? Just kind of a wrap, overview of what you've done.
Oh God. Okay. Let's see. I did my first one about 2 years ago. Is when I really first started online. I would say about actually 2.5 years ago. It was September of 2011, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, I created my first product actually on ClickBank from scratch without knowing anything about anything. It did really well. Did about $160,000 in revenue the first year. And about 3 months after I created that product, then I started doing the forum launches to show people sort of how I did it.
Okay.
So I did my first WSO. It was a really simple, like 24-page PDF. I had no affiliates, no JV partners, nothing, and I just threw it up on the forum just for the hell of it,
Hmm.
and ended up doing about $14,000 in sales in like 5 days, which blew my mind at the time. And so I was able to build a little bit of a list off of it, and then launched another one a couple months later. That one did, I think, $30,000 in sales on the front end in the first like 6 days, and then I pitched a $197 workshop on the back end of that, and that did an additional $30,000 in sales. So like you're shaking your head, yeah, that blew my mind when it
I'm
happened. I
shaking
did
my head
not
because
think that was
it
going
just
to
sounds
happen.
unbelievable.
No, no, I'm talking like no JV page, no launch partners, no nothing. And the secret, if there was no OTOs even, it was literally just the one front end product. I didn't know enough to do an OTO. Um, but the so then anyway, long story short, I've done a few WSOs since then.
Yeah.
They've all done really, really well. Almost all of them have been 5 figures. I had a couple duds in there, but I know why they were duds. But most of the time, it's easily like a good solid 5 figure launch,
But
not counting everything that happens on the back end.
but now we're recording this in June 2013.
Right.
Is it possible to do, like, if you did the same thing now, do you think you would have had the same results? Like, I hear people talking about the traffic in the forum is declining with people doing self-hosted launches. Like, were you lucky? What
Sorry, my
happened?
cat is like.
No problem, no problem.
Go ahead.
Like, I'm
Was
just
I
trying to
lucky?
figure out, like, what happened here and how I personally and other people can replicate it.
Can replicate this?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you right now that it has gotten more sophisticated and it has gotten more competitive. So I don't think that like Joe Blow internet marketer who no one's ever heard of, which is where I was at that
Mhm.
time, can just like throw together some sales copy and put up a WSO and have it do really well. Um, I believe, and I don't have like stats to back this up, but it sure seems to me like the WSO section of the Warrior Forum is getting a hell of a lot less organic traffic than it used to.
Yeah.
When WSOs first were getting hot, people would just go to the WSO section and just kind of browse around. Now, almost all of the traffic is being sent there by affiliates. So now the affiliate side of it is much more important than it used to be. Like when I first did my first WSO, the affiliate stuff was just kind of getting hot.
Mhm.
Now it's like ridiculous. So what I did before absolutely will still work. There's just a few additional things that you have to do on top of that to to really make it work.
It kind of looked like a Jaws thing was going across the
It's all of a
screen.
sudden like dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Yeah, so there's just a few additional steps that you need to add to it. So we can talk about that too.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to talk about. Like,
Okay, great. So the main thing, let's just start at the very beginning.
Go
Okay,
for
the
it.
main thing is that you have to have the right product. Okay, now the sort of secret formula for having a successful launch on the Warrior Forum is a cheap, fast, newbie-friendly way of getting something that has universal value. So something where the value of it doesn't really need to be explained, like traffic. It's obviously valuable. Cash obviously is valuable. Opt-ins, conversions, something that has universal value. It's got to be cheap, it's got to be fast, and it's got to be newbie friendly. If you don't have, or it's got to be software.
hmm
That's the alternative. Obviously, if you have an amazing plugin that does all this incredible stuff, that's a viable option too. But for an information product, if it isn't all of those things, you're gonna have an uphill battle.
cheap, fast, and newbie friendly.
Cheap, fast, and newbie friendly, and it's got to be all three. You cannot come out with a WSO that's geared toward newbies, and they have to invest $500 to make it work. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? That's just not going to work as a WSO. You know, so it's got to be cheap, fast, and newbie friendly, and the end result of it has to be something that has universal value. Okay, so that's the main thing. And if you're teaching something that's a little bit more advanced, then you need to sort of position it as being cheap, fast, newbie friendly.
So
Does that make sense?
it's all about the positionings, but the cheap is the price point. The fast and newbie friendly is the positioning that you use to make the product. Well, it's a no-brainer, and it's going to be. I don't want to say push button because I don't want to sell something as push button, but it almost kind of has to be.
Well, when I say cheap, I don't mean the WSO is cheap. I mean the method is cheap to implement.
Okay, that's important.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So what you're teaching has to be cheap to implement, fast to implement, and newbie friendly to implement. Meaning that like somebody who doesn't have a ton of experience in doing internet marketing should be able to pick up your WSO and follow the steps, and get the result. Now, will a lot of the people who buy the WSO do that? Unfortunately, no. The way the WSO section works is 97% of the people who buy your WSO, even if it's phenomenal, they'll go through it and then they'll never use it. Yeah. That's just the nature of the beast. But I hear that that's true even for like Tony Robbins. Like the stat is like, when Tony Robbins came out with Personal Power, the $197 DVD set, like I think something like 85% of the people who ordered it never even opened it or something like that when they got it home. So that's just the name of the game. So cheap, fast, newbie-friendly way of getting something that has universal value. Okay, so that's the first thing.
Okay, cool.
The second thing, and this is the most important thing, is more important than your affiliates, more important than the product, more important than the JV page, more important than anything else. The sales copy has to be superb. It has to be phenomenal. You can't do a WSO launch without amazing sales copy. I mean, unless you have a massive list that's crazy about you already. You've already got that built-in traffic. If you don't, you've got to have sales copy that's just smoking hot. That's
How do
just
I get
brilliant.
that?
How do you get that? You write it. You write it. There's no other way around it.
Do I write it or do I outsource it?
You write it.
Do you write yours?
You write it. Yeah. You can. Here's the thing. How much are you? How much do you think great sales copy will cost you?
I've heard people say $10,000. I've heard people say they can get it for $200.
Yeah, no, it's a lot more expensive. For a WSO, $10,000 is a lot. I mean, I wouldn't spend $10,000 on a WSO thread because that's pretty short copy.
Yeah.
But if someone's charging you less than a couple grand, I would be shocked if they knew what they were doing. Because the point is that in our business, sales copy is the great equalizer. Sales copy is literally the most important thing. That's why great graphic designers, you can get, graphics design and a website built for $100. But a phenomenal world-class sales copy is going to cost you a few $1,000s at least, because that is what makes people pull out their credit card and give you money.
But you're writing your own.
Yeah, right. Here's the thing: if sales copy is sort of the great equalizer in our business, and you can come along and be a total newbie, and if you've got phenomenal smoke and sales copy, you can still just bust right into the front of the game like I did. Gotcha. Then it stands to reason that all of us should at least invest some time and energy becoming as good as we can possibly be at writing sales copy, right? I mean, if that's the number one thing, then it's like we better goddamn well get good at it. So for me, though, all that I did was model other people's WSOs when I did my first one. I had no idea what I was doing. So I looked at WSOs that I knew were successful, maybe that had gotten WSO of the day, or when I looked at the view count in the thread right there off to the side, I could see that 80,000 people had viewed the thread and it had 20 pages of replies. Stands to reason that's probably a pretty hot WSO. I looked at that sales copy and I just modeled what I saw. So that's the easiest thing for you to do. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to do it all yourself or do it all from scratch. Just look at other people who've been successful and just copy what they're doing. And that's basically all that I did. And then from there, I was able to learn certain principles that work and that work every single time. And now I can just sort of knock out WSO sales copy whenever I want. But the first time when I didn't know what I was doing, I just looked at what other people were doing. I mean, hell, look at my WSOs if they're still up and just copy what I did. I don't care.
Is there any principle that comes to mind that really works? I'm trying to think of your last one that we did an interview about. It was really a story of exact really huge success and you coming out, what was it? You coming out of nowhere, and people being able to copy exactly what you did. Was that kind of
Right. Yeah, well, the first thing I said, the cheap, fast, newbie-friendly method of doing XYZ, that's also basically the formula for your headline. And your headline is pretty much everything.
yeah?
So, I think the one that I did that was really successful was watch me bring in 77,000 some dollars in 6 months with simple 5-minute videos that anybody can create or something like that. I haven't looked at it in a really long time.
So I mean, it follows the formula though: cheap, fast, and newbie friendly.
Fast, newbie friendly way of getting an amazing result. So basically that's it. It's basically just the amazing result. So like watch me get this incredible result, whatever that is. Watch me, triple my opt-ins. Watch me whatever it is, right? And then the short time frame in just 24 hours, right? And then you add like a tweak on the end to show how newbie friendly it is, like without spending a dime on advertising, or without, even if you've never launched a WSO.
Watch my mom, watch my grandmother do this, or watch someone that my 12-year-old kid, blah blah blah. Like these, you always see those.
Yeah, I mean,
those
as long
things.
as it's the truth, yeah. The basic version. If you watch this interview and like you can't remember anything else, how to awesome without suck.
Yeah.
Okay. So how to do this amazing, awesome thing without this sucky thing they don't want to do. Basically, that's it. And then from there, you start out by explaining basically like what the problem is that this WSO solves. What is the big problem that this thing solves? And explain to them why it sucks, and then get into why this is the new solution, why this way of doing this, of accomplishing this incredible result is better than anything else out there. Okay. Now, I want to say one quick thing, one more pointer about your sub-headlines. Sub-headlines on the Warrior Forum are more important than they are anywhere else. And the reason why is because everyone on the Warrior Forum, especially at this point, is so jaded and just like so over it and so skeptical and just so burnt out. And we keep buying these WSOs, even though we know most of them are going to be terrible, even though we know, it's really hard to find a good one, and on and on and on. So when someone looks at your sales thread, they are going to be going through it very, very quickly. They're just going to be skimming it. They're probably not going to be reading every word. Now, some people are, but most of them are not going to be reading every single word. So it's very important that your sub-headlines tell the entire... Get out of here. It's very important that your sub-headlines tell the entire story of the sales copy in just the sub-headlines. So in other words, I should be able to get the gist of your entire sales letter just by reading the sub-headlines. And I see a lot of people make that mistake. They'll be like, their headline will be great, and then they've got their first block of text, and then the first sub-headline comes up, and then it's, let's just do this. And then the first sub-headline comes up, and the sub-headline is, but wait, there's more. Or,
and so they're wasting that space.
Or, hey, check this out. So they're wasting that space. Because people aren't going to read the subheadline and then read the body text underneath. They're not going to. I mean, some of them are, but most of them aren't. So you've got to be able to just go boom, 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 boom. Every subheadline has to be super punchy, and I should be able to read just the subheadlines and feel confident about clicking the buy button. So that's very important.
I haven't heard that yet.
That's really important. Well, I think probably a lot of the guys that you're talking to do outsource their copy. I'm one of the guys that doesn't. And generally, when I do a WSO, the front end will convert, between 20 and 30%, at least for the first couple days. And then as people come back and back and back, it starts to, decline. But that's true with every WSO. So those are the first two big things. Number one, product itself has to be cheap, fast, newbie-friendly method of getting something with universal value. And number two, the sales copy has got to be smoking hot.
It's good. There you go. It's good. And it's interesting. A lot of people I've talked to so far, they talk about the sales page has to be good, and the JVs have to be good, or your relationship with the JVs have to be good. But what it sounds like with you is you didn't really rely on JV traffic. You relied more on your ability to sell. Now, if I want to learn how to write better sales pages, is there any book you recommend or anything? Yeah. Yeah.
The only book about sales copy that I, to this day, have ever read. And that's not to say I haven't bought a lot of them. There's a ton of them gathering dust. Thousands of dollars worth of sales copy courses gathering dust on my hard drive right now. I still haven't looked at any of them. The only one I've ever looked at is Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy.
I've heard that over and over again. People talk about Dan Kennedy and that book, and I haven't read it yet. I'm gonna go buy it on my Kindle tonight.
It's like $8.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's a no-brainer.
the reason it's so good is that it takes you through the mental process of projecting yourself into your customer's mindset and understanding what is he concerned about, what is he afraid of, what's he frustrated by, what is he terrified about, and how can you come in and position your product as the magical solution to everything that he's going through. And that really is, if you want to sum up all of what we do as marketers, that really is the name of the game. Is that you have to be able to take someone who's never heard of you and you know, suck that person in with such a powerful sales message that they're willing to Facebook or whatever they were doing and pull out their credit card and give you money because they believe that what you've got to offer is going to make their lives better than they ever possibly imagined. And that's the artistry of good sales copy. That's why good sales copy is so expensive. But I think people sell themselves short. They go, oh, I could never write good sales copy, or oh, I could never do that. Now, when I first started out, I was broke. I had no choice. Outsourcing my sales copy was not an option for me, so I had to learn how to do it. But to this day, the reason that I never worry about money isn't because I have so much of it, or because I've got this incredible client base, or because I've got this incredible list. The reason I never worry about money is because I know damn well that I can sit down at my computer and come up with some sales copy that will turn traffic into dollars. And no one can take that away from me. And if you have the ability to cultivate that skill, I seriously suggest that you do, because there's so much confidence that just comes from being able to do that. You know what I mean?
I want to talk about, while we're talking about the sales copy, I think something that I'm struggling with right now is how to position this product that we're doing right now. And the let me give you kind of the whole idea of it. We kind of talked about it beforehand, but it's the way that I'm thinking about positioning it, and I haven't necessarily nailed it down yet, is now that you're talking about cheap, fast, and newbie friendly, a way of taking all this information that I'm going to be extracting from these 10 expert internet marketers, and I'm going to condense that into a document, into a PDF, a step-by-step kind of launching list, launching a way to launch that's pretty much, this is how the top guys are doing it now. And so that would kind of be the front end. The back end is going to be a step-by-step, looking over my shoulder, watch me actually do this whole product, watch me put the whole thing together from creation to putting it on Muncheye to setting it up in the whatever, like the Warrior Plus or wherever I do it, and then launching, and then even sharing all the results with people. So in the membership, even after I launch, I'll still be communicating with people. Okay, this is how it's sold. This is my percentages. This is how I did with this. Like just a real open up the whole launch formula. And I know that the whole launch thing has been done. The whole like, okay, this is how you launch a product has been done over and over again. So what I'm trying to do is position this in a way that's going to be cheap. The price I was going to do was $17 for the front end. I've now, after talking with Bill Guthrie, brought it down. I'm thinking of doing a $6.95 to $9.95 dime sale, 100% commission on the front end, 100% commission on the back end to keep the EPCs up, but trying to make it a no-brainer for people to pull the trigger and use it as a lead generator.
Okay.
How should I position?
Well, you have to position it. I think that positioning is good. But understand that you are restricting yourself only to people who are thinking about launching a product in the future.
That's what I'm worried about.
That's going to be the big hurdle for you. Is that unfortunately on the Warrior Forum, people are terrified of launching their own product. They see themselves as consumers. They don't see themselves as producers. But that being said, that's just an inherent weakness, and that's just an inherent challenge in the topic that you've picked. I mean, so really all you can do is just put it out there and do the best you can with what you've got. So that being said, I would position it as the quickest, easiest, simplest, most step-by-step method people have ever seen for engineering a 5 to 6 figure launch on the Warrior Forum.
To getting over that hurdle.
Or on FSO.
For me, there's that big hurdle. I want to be a product launcher. I want to move from the consumer to the buyer, and there's this hurdle that all these little things that I don't know how to do yet. Like I don't know how to set up my wish list member thing, which I know I could just learn in an hour of watching a little stupid video on it. Like all these little things that I'm just kind of worried about doing, making these mistakes. Like, oh, am I going to make a mistake with this? Am I not going to set this up right? My JV page going to be wrong? Like, there's all these little things, and I'm trying to maybe pull up the heartstrings of people that are also wanting to launch a product, but they just keep on finding excuses not to launch. Keep on saying, okay, well, I need to give myself at least a month. They say you need to launch and put it up in a like, don't rush it. Put it on the month calendar in a month before, and then don't do this, don't do this. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people like me.
Yeah, there are. I mean, there are. So I wouldn't, in the sales copy itself, try to get them over that hurdle of taking action, because they're going to visualizing themselves trying to launch a product, and then all those fears are going to come back in, and that's going to keep them from buying the product. That's not what you want.
Okay.
What you want is to just make it seem like it is the easiest thing that they'll ever do in their entire life. That literally it's like a recipe for launching a product. You know what I mean?
Like,
I mean,
this will launch the product for them.
Yeah, like, look, any idiot can go to the like Rite Aid and buy a box of brownie mix and put water and milk and eggs in it or whatever and put it in the oven and make brownies.
Yeah.
You want to make it that simple. You know what I mean? You don't have to be like Wolfgang Puck or like Bobby Flay or some amazing chef to do that. So that's how I would position it, is that you are boiling down and distilling the critical elements that make a WSO work, in a simple format that anybody can follow. Now, for me, when I launch something, I generally don't take longer than a week to do it. The WSO that I launched in January, which one was that? That was Knockout Profit System. I was bored over Christmas. It was the day after Christmas. I just eaten like a stack of pancakes this big, and I'm like, dude, I'm so bored. I'm with my family, and I was like, screw it. Let me put together a WSO. So I put together the WSO in like 3 days, and I launched it like a week later. So you don't have to do this big build up and this huge like contest and like all this hype and all this shenanigans and whatever else, because if your sales copy is good enough, what's going to happen is the day that you launch, your stats are going to appear in Warrior Plus or JVZoo or whatever platform you're using. And when people see that you're running a $2 to $3 earnings per click, they're going to get off their asses and they're going to mail for you. Even if they've never heard of you, even if they want nothing to do with you, even if they have no idea who you are. So the key with this isn't so much to have like this huge launch built up ahead of time, which is really difficult to do if you don't know anything. The key with this is that when push comes to shove, when your product is live, is it getting the kind of conversions that are going to wake people up and make them say, oh shit, I need to mail for this guy. I never heard of this guy, but damn, there's money there and I want to mail for him. So, so it doesn't have to be this big avalanche that builds into this like launch where you're giving away like Camaros and stuff. It can be like, something really simple. But that's the way that I do it. And I know that, like you said, a lot of the other people that you probably talk to, they do rely a lot on the JVs, and they do rely a lot on all that stuff. I mean, I have my list of affiliates. I email them and I just remind them, listen, the last 5 WSOs I've done have run $3 EPCs. I'm launching this day. You know what I mean? You want to make some money or not? Mail for me. Whatever.
Yeah, you're not selling to them. You're just saying, hey, here's my stats.
Yeah.
They speak for themselves.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, oh, hey, like I've mailed for you 100 times before, and now it's your turn to hit me back. You know what I mean? It's like, if you want to make money, you'll mail for me. If you don't, you won't. If you've got something to mail for that day you think is going to make you more money, then do it. So at the end of the day, it's like, look, that when I launch something, it's going to be a kick-ass product that your list is going to really like, and the money is going to be there. And that's really, I think to me that's more important than being able to hit someone up and say, oh yeah, we've been best friends for 6 months or whatever. We've Skyped all the time, so do me a solid and mail for me. Because it's like,
it's a business.
What's in it for that? It's a business. Yeah, I don't want somebody to mail for me because I make them feel guilty. I want someone to mail for me because they know they're going to make money if they do.
You don't want a pity mailing.
Yeah, I don't want a pity mailing. I don't want to pity anything. But yeah. So, anyway, I don't know how we got on that topic.
Price.
Price. Okay, that's, yeah.
Go for it.
Okay, here's the deal. $7 to $17 dime sale. Okay?
17 to 17.
7 to 17. Okay? Price goes up every sale. Not every 3 sales, not every 2 sales, not every 1 sale. It goes up, every 1 sale.
One
The
penny
reason
extra.
why
Yeah, go ahead.
is because you want your buy button there, and right next to it, you want it to say only one left at this price. And you want it to say that all the time. So I don't care if the price is only going up by a penny every sale. You want people to see that, and you want people to feel that pressure, and you want them to buy.
I like that.
Now, what I do now, because I know for sure that I'm going to sell like around 2,000 copies at least every time I do this, is I'll make it go up either by a penny every sale or a penny every 2 sales, just because I know I'm going to sell that many copies. I don't want it to max out too quickly, okay? But if I didn't know I was going to sell very many copies, what I did with my first WSL is I had it go up by like somewhere between 3 cents and 5 cents every single sale.
Okay.
And that sent conversions through the roof, because people would be like, holy shit, the price just went up $2 while I was reading the sales letter. Let me just buy this right now.
That makes sense.
And that, so that's what I would do now. But for you, I would just have it go up by like one sale, by like 1 penny every sale, and go from $7 to $17. Okay.
I also heard that once it goes over 10, the sales start to go down a lot more.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you will see it go down, but what gets you through the day is how well is it converting in the beginning. So like, whether your WSO is going to be a success or failure like within the first like 3 hours. If you launch that WSO and the sales copy is converting at 7%, I mean, you might as well just shut it down and go home. You know what I mean? You want to see sales copy that's converting at least at the bare minimum 10%. I would like to see between 20 and 30, if not higher. And you also want to have OTOs on the back of that. So let's talk about that. You want to have 2 OTOs, $27 and $37. Okay? Now, and you want to have some sort of very, very, very expensive something to pitch them on the back end of the WSO itself. So for me, the last WSO that I did, we did like 2,000 copies. It's this exact same formula I'm telling you now. It was a $7 to $17 dime sale. Okay, front end did about, I think, $17,000 between the two OTOs. The 2 OTOs did an additional like $25,000. And then on the back of that, I pitched them one-on-one mentoring, which is the thing that I'm doing most now. And I pitched them that for $28.60 a month. And I got like 20 clients like that.
$28? What?
No, $2,860 a month.
$2,860 a month.
Yeah, and then
how many clients did you get?
I got 20 like almost instantly.
Wow.
So
Question, sorry. Are you
go
how
ahead.
much are you giving away for commissions to affiliates?
Okay. So here's what I did last time. I did 100% commission on the front end.
Yeah.
Okay? And I did 50% commission on the OTOs. But the reason that I did that is because I knew that I was going to pitch them the mentoring on the back end, and I knew that that was what I really cared about.
Okay.
I didn't really care about making money off the WSO itself. I just wanted to get those leads on my list for free. So at the end of the day, I walked away with, even though I only gave 50% commission on the OTOs and 100% commission on the front end, so I didn't get anything from the front end.
Yeah.
I only got half of the 2 OTOs. From that, I still made about 20 grand. I got paid 20 grand to put 2,000 buyers on my list. That's pretty cool.
That's nice.
And then I turned around and pitched them the high ticket thing, and that worked really well. So the big trap with WSOs is that when you get your first one and when it's successful, you're like, oh my God, I just made $20,000 in 5 days. That's crazy, or whatever it works out to. And you're like, oh my God, I want to do this again. And you overlook the fact that the real money is what you're going to make on the back end, is what you're going to pitch these people. A week after they buy your WSO.
How long do you wait to pitch?
Like 5, 6, 7 days, usually. I mean, I'll wait until they've had a chance to go through the WSO. So like most of the time, like, I know that my WSOs are awesome. So I want someone to go through it and have the experience of watching the videos and going through it and being like, oh my God, this kicks ass. And right when they're in that mental space, that's when I come in and I pitch them something else. So I don't do it right away. I do it like a week later or maybe 10 days later.
Do you do it through a webinar or through an email, or how do you do it?
I've done both. Sometimes I'll just email them and I'll send them to a video. That's gotten less effective lately because I think people are just like used to it.
Hmm.
And so now generally what I will do is offer a bonus webinar on the back of the WSO where it's like, a good 45 minutes of just awesome additional content and then like a real soft pitch at the end. So for the mentoring, I didn't come right out and say, hey, sign up right now. It's $28.60 a month for mentoring. I offered people a free one-on-one strategy session with me for like a $97 deposit or something like that. I forget what it was.
Did that work out
And
well?
yeah, it worked great. So I probably had like, I don't know, 35 people sign up for the strategy sessions and like 20 of them became clients.
Nice.
The key is they have to know up front how much the mentoring costs. That's a big filter.
Okay. So if they know how much it costs, and they're not going to get in there, and
Yeah,
then they're going to be like,
yeah.
"What? It costs that much?"
Yeah, you don't want sticker shock. You want people to go on by the time they get on I mean, now we're getting into a whole other conversation, but
Sure.
you want people like, by the time they get on the phone with you to know what they're getting into. You want them to be people who want the mentoring.
Makes sense.
You don't want it to be people who are like, wait, what's this? I didn't know there was going to be.
So how much do you think I should give away on my product? Do you think I should do 100% front end and 100%
I would do 100%
back end?
front end. No, I do 100% front end and 50% on your OTOs. But that's assuming that your sales copy is phenomenal and your OTO videos are phenomenal. How many OTOs do you have?
Right now, the one that I'm thinking of is doing the over the shoulder. Watch me do it. Watch me set up the whole thing, and that was going to be my first OTO. As far as the second OTO, I haven't decided what that's going to be. Any ideas
That
for?
could be good. Let's see. Could be you-
Like a webinar or I don't know. I don't know what.
I don't know, because you're teaching people how to do this WSO. So generally what I like to do is I like to make the first OTO be something that solves the next problem that they're going to have. So in other words, like if I do a WSO about traffic, right? The first OTO will say, okay, you just bought this course about traffic. It's going to kick ass. You're going to have more traffic than you know what to do with. But as soon as you get that traffic coming in, you're going to be like, how do I convert these people? So it'll be my conversion strategies for how to turn the traffic into money. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
And then the second OTO will be some way of making the whole process even easier, some way to automate it or some way to streamline it or whatever. That's the formula that I usually use that tends to work out really well. But for you, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. You're
Okay.
teaching people how to launch WSO.
I'm teaching people how to launch a WSO from the top WSO launchers. So taking the proven formula from people that have already done it and done it well, and trying to boil down all the stuff that they
Yeah.
do into a simple, easy to follow, step by step formula that even my mom could follow.
Okay, so then I would definitely, like you said, include some kind of a walkthrough where it walks them through everything, setting up their listing, like wish list member. I mean, like ideally the kind of videos where I could just take them and hand them off to my outsourcer and they just do the whole thing. They just follow along and do it.
Ah.
And then I would
So wait,
also
sorry to interrupt. Maybe that could be an option. Outsource videos. Send these.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how well that would work because most of the people who are going to buy your WSO are not going to be keen on the idea of paying someone to do anything.
Okay.
But I would use that as a selling point and be like, listen, I don't care if you're going to do this yourself or if you're going to hire somebody to do it. The point is this is literally click by click everything that you have to do. So you can turn on the videos and just follow along. You watch my mouse move around the screen, click here, do this, do
Follow
that,
along.
set this up, follow along. So it's like idiot proof. And then I would do one about sales copy. I mean, I don't know if you feel that you're, if that's something you could do, but if I was doing it, it would be, listen, this is like my proven template where you just fill in the blanks and you have your WSO thread where it's like, I literally walk you step by step through how to do the WSO thread. And hell, I would do a third OTO about how to do OTOs. I have a whole system for the best way to do OTO videos and how to position them. And my OTO videos are short. My OTO videos are like 3 minutes, and they generally convert at between 30 and 50%.
And this is why it's so hard, because there's so many variables here. There's so many things that I
know,
could do,
I know.
or that you should do, or it would be good if you did. But like, and that's why I wanted to talk with so many different people about it, because I wanted to find out, okay, like what what needs to be done? What are the things
Okay.
that you need to do in order to have a successful launch, or to do it, or to give yourself at least the best chance
Yeah.
of being successful? Because there's no guarantee, but to give
Yeah.
yourself the best chance.
You need to, like I said, have the right product. You need to have the right sales copy. You need to have the right pricing. You need to have great OTO videos. Okay. You need to give out review copies ahead of time so
Yeah.
that you've got your reviews ready to go. You need to have a great JV page. And you need to tell everybody about it. If you can buy a solo ad from somebody like Kenster or Chris Munch or somebody who has a big list of affiliates, that always helps. Um, and actually, I think that's it. I think it's just those 6 things. Let me just think about this one more time. You the product, the pricing, and the OTOs, the sales copy, your JV page and your affiliates, review copies, and then your back end. And I think that's it.
Before we wrap up, I still want to go back over again. I know we covered it, but
Yeah.
the cheap, fast, and newbie friendly for what I'm doing here. I just kind of want to go over that and nail that down, because I still feel like it's a little weak. I feel like I want to make it so that it's just a no brainer. Like you see it, it's like, okay, of course I'm gonna pay for this. Like I feel like if we're gonna make it fast and newbie friendly, I feel step by step. I feel that's what's coming. Like step by step, idiot proof. Anyone can do it. These are the results that these people have gotten. Like maybe showing proof that what you guys have done.
Here's what I would do, man. I would total up, if you can, the total amount of money that all of the people that you're interviewing have brought in on the Warrior Forum.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on doing.
And I would lead with that. I would say the step-by-step, like, launch method that has brought in over, like, $8.5 bajillion in da-da-da-da-da. And then I would have everybody's pictures right there. And just say this is the step-by-step, formula that, like, you know what I mean, distilled down into like 9 easy steps, and then like say what the steps are: step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. You know what I mean?
I like that.
And
I like that.
like,
Distilled down
like,
and just simplified and brought to an idiot-proof, understandable, step-by-step, replicable method.
Yeah. I would even play around with it and just see how it looked. I would create like a flow chart using like Microsoft Word. Like they've got in Microsoft Word, they've got this thing called Smart Art. It's in Word, it's in PowerPoint, it's in everything, and it makes pretty cool like 3D like flow chart looking things. I would create one of those, and I would like blur out parts of it and put that in your thread too, so they can see that there's a process there, but they can't see like what the best parts are. I would see how that looks. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the best you're gonna do. I mean, because it is impossible for you to psychologically, completely, and totally overcome this hurdle of the fact that some people just don't want to do a launch. They're not interested in doing a launch. They don't want anything to do with a launch. You know what I mean? They think I'll never be able to do a launch. So you can't do anything about those people.
But that's what your product was about. Your product was about doing a launch.
That was the only one that failed. The only product, the only
that failed.
I don't want to tell you this, but no, not the one you're thinking of. The one that you're thinking of. The 2 that I've done this year knocked it out of the park.
Okay.
But the 3rd WSO I ever did, I did AdWords Domination, which is about how to get 1-cent clicks on AdWords. I did Video Sales Firestorm, which is about how to sell using video. And then the 3rd one I did, like way back in the day, I thought to myself, oh man, I've done these 2 great WSOs. Let me do a WSO about how to do WSOs. And it had really great sales copy and really great everything. And the conversions were just awful. And I realized the reason why is I had people emailing me, Russ, this looks really cool, but I could never launch a WSO. I don't know enough to launch a WSO. I'm not smart enough to launch a WSO. And it's like, well, shit, how do you overcome that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If someone genuinely feels that they're not worthy, it's like, what do you do? So that, I'm going to tell you right now, that is the really, like, I think the only hurdle that's in front of you. But
that's okay.
You can overcome that if you really tap into the positioning here. If you blow it up and say, like, look, this is it. This is the step-by-step formula from concept to launch in 7 days. You know what I mean? I would even call it like the 7-day, $8.5 bajillion like WSO formula or something like that. You know what I mean?
I get it. Like I think it's it has to be something like that, and it has to
Right.
make it seem just really simple and step by step, and anyone can do it. I think that's the way it has to be positioned.
It has to be that.
Yeah.
And it has to literally be you saying, step 1, figure out your concept. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. And if there's more than like 10 steps, like you're screwing it up. You're making it too complicated.
How do you feel about this? The front end being a PDF of how to do it. OTO is videos of me doing it, and OTO 2 is video showing exactly how I did this one.
I would do video for the front end just because that's kind of what people expect now. I would do video for the front end, and then the video for the front end should show them, like, explain to them the process of how to do it. It should be like me explaining it to you how to do it, okay? And then the first OTO should be like all of the technical stuff that you're worried about. So I would say, so for the OTO video, I would say like, okay, you just bought this course. You just bought this phenomenal course that's going to show you exactly how to launch a WSO, how all the moving pieces work together to engineer your first 5 to 6 figure WSO launch. But one of the problems you're going to run into is that integrating all the different technical things like wishlist member and WordPress and da-da-da-da can totally be a huge roadblock. It can take the wind right out of your sales. And if you get even one part of it wrong, your whole launch can collapse like a house of cards. So here's what I have for you. I want to completely demystify this entire process and literally show you click by click how to set it up, how to set up a WSO with Warrior Plus, how to set it up with JVZoo, how to set it up with like wishlist member, how to whatever. And you don't even have to make those yourself. You can hire someone to do those for you because it's just pure tech stuff.
I'm just gonna copy this video and just put that up for my OTO, having Russ come on and
yeah, don't listen to any of those other people you interview. Just listen to me.
Yeah.
And just do that because I think that would be valuable. So like I said, with the OTO, you never want to undermine what you just sold.
Yeah.
Okay, so like for example, if you sell them the PDF, right, and the OTO is videos, it's hard to sell that without devaluing the PDF. So the way that I like to do my OTOs is I like to say that what you just bought is the greatest freaking thing in the world. It's gonna, and that's the first sentence of my OTOs. It's always, of my OTO videos, it's always, thanks for buying, the money tree method. In this course, in that course, you're gonna learn blah, 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 blah. It's gonna blow your mind. But as soon as you implement this next problem is gonna come down the pipe. So here's how you deal with that too. Because I don't want that to derail you. You know what I mean?
I like it.
And that's true for everything. I mean, the second you, I don't know, go on a diet, it's like, how do you deal with food cravings? I give you the best diet in the world. What do you do? That will work with any product. So that's the way that I do it. And then for the second OTO, I like to make it like some sort of like done for you part of it. So with this, it would be like, this is the sales copy done for you. And I would say again, okay, so now you've got your WSO launch formula, you know what you're going to do, you know how to deal with the tech stuff, but what really is like the most important thing is the sales copy. And this is the scariest thing. Great sales copy can cost you $10,000 or more. What I want to do is give you my absolute proven sales copy template.
Or maybe like a fully set up membership site that all you need to do is insert your stuff into. Could that be something that
too? But that would be, I think, harder to do. No, I mean, right?
Yeah, that would be.
How are you gonna? I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how technically you would do that, right?
Yeah, that would be a little difficult. Cool, man. Russ, thank you. You've given me a lot.
That helped.
It does. It definitely helps, but and I think I'm gonna buy tonight. I'm really gonna go buy. What was it? Dan Kennedy. What was it?
Ultimate Sales Letter, yeah.
Ultimate Sales Letter. Okay, I'm going to buy that.
All you need to make the sales copy simple is that book, and I don't even know if you need that for WSO. The main thing is for you to just be able to look at other people's WSOs and sort of reverse engineer their copy.
Awesome.
I mean, I literally, for my first WSO, practically just took other people's copy and, just changed words and, rephrased it. And then for the first draft, and then I went back through it, and I made it my own a little bit. But I can tell you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and you just have to sit down and just make a list of what the key elements are, and just make choices and go with it, because there's no way around it. And just understand that the product can suck. I'm not saying you should put out a product that sucks. I'm just saying if your product sucks, if your affiliates abandon you, if your JV page is terrible, if if everything goes wrong and your sales copy and your concept are phenomenal, you can still make a ton of money on the WSO. So when I do a WSO, it is literally like 90% of my energy goes into the sales copy and the positioning and getting people to buy it. And the other stuff is totally like irrelevant next to that. So what happens is a lot of guys, especially with my clients, they come to me and they're like, Russ, I want to do this WSO. And they're like, I've got this great idea. I've been working on this product for 6 months now. And I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? Have you done anything with the sales copy? Well, no. Well, it's like, okay, you need to switch that. You know what I mean? Like,
Start backwards.
yes, start backwards. Start with the sales copy. I write the sales copy before I create the product.
Did you do that with the money tree method? Do you remember?
Money tree method was different because I was originally going to launch it on ClickBank.
Okay.
So I had the product done ahead of time. But normally when I do a WSO, yeah, I will write the sales copy first, because as I write the sales copy, I have all these great ideas where it's like, oh shit, I should have put that in the product. And then it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be writing and I'm like, yeah, and you get this, incredible infographic that lists all the steps, step by step, and I'll be like, oh, well, that's not in the product, is it? So I'll always do the sales copy first and then the product. Yeah, of course. Because you want to create the most sellable product possible. And as you're writing the copy, you're going to have a lot of ideas for stuff that you could have or should have put in there.
And I think I'm making a common mistake right now that a lot of people, like your clients, do, is I'm focusing a lot of my effort. Of course, like you said, you want the product to be good. And of course that's important. But I'm focusing a lot of my effort on the actual product, putting all this stuff into the product, making this. And that's really not where I need to be focusing most of my effort. I need to be focusing it on the sales letter.
Well, it's just simple numbers. If you have 1,000 people come to your site, right? All 1,000 of those people are going to see your sales copy.
Yeah.
If your sales copy converts at 4%, that's 40 people who are going to see the product. Yeah. So it's like you want to spend the bulk of your time making sure this is right. And I want to say one more thing, is that a lot of people go like, "Whoa, that's not true." And some guy posted on Facebook the other day, "Oh, that's not true. You should focus completely on the product, and if you do that, the marketing will take care of itself." And I'm like, I can tell you right now, that guy's broke. Like, just by reading that, I'm like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. So it's gotta be the sales copy that gets the lion's share of your stuff. But it's also important for you to understand that that's not selfish. That's not being a scammy marketer. That's not being like a snake oil salesman, okay? What that is that if you believe that you have a product that can really help people, and I believe yours probably can, you have a moral obligation to get as many people as you possibly can to buy that product. Because, that is your gift to the world. So by doing the sales copy, you're not like being selfish and ignoring your product and just trying to hype it up. What you're doing is making sure that the maximum number of people get the benefit of what you have to give, and that's really important. And if you disregard that, no one's ever going to see your product because no one's ever going to buy it. So anyway,
I'm going to read it. I've got my work set up for me now. See, another thing, you've added another roadblock to getting this launched, but I think it's something that's really necessary in general and just in sales and marketing.
If I were you,
yeah,
I would just like for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any more interviews or whatever. It's probably late where you are.
It's late.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow when you get up, just find some WSOs that are like yours and just read through their sales copy. Okay? And I know there's been a lot of them about product creation that have been really successful.
Yeah.
So just go through them and see how do they overcome those things. And maybe they're smarter than me, some of these other guys. Maybe they found a way to overcome that fear. And just pull those elements out and start crafting your sales copy. And I think you'll be really impressed with yourself when you see what you come up with. I mean, I think that when you first sit down and put pen to paper, you're going to be banging your head against the keyboard. But if you let that other people's copy inspire you, and you just sit down and you write for like 3 hours, I think when you're done, you'll have something that you can really be proud of.
It's a good idea. I'll do that, and if I'll shoot it over to you if you have a minute. You can take a look at it.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
Awesome, man. Cool. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Russ.
All right, man. Take it easy.